Welcome back to Nerd Impact. Today we're going to talk about the second half of DC Fandome and also give Zack Snyder his long-awaited credit for the movie that he spent all the time making but didn't get to release. So, Disson, what did you think of the original Justice League?
God have mercy on all of us. That movie is unironically uh, not funny bad, not so bad it's good. It is a horrendous piece of trash.
Don't hold back.
And what's
Don't
that?
hold back.
Okay, fine. Justice League is an unfunny piece of shit that needs to be strung up behind a carriage and dragged through town. Justice League is what happens when the ghost of Hitler and the ghost of Stalin inhabit the body of Jeffrey Dahmer. This movie is terrible. It is incompetent, and everyone involved with it should be ashamed.
So I, for one, actually did not think it was an awful movie. I thought it was pretty bad, and you could clearly see that it was two different visions that didn't mesh.
Yes.
But I am very much looking forward to seeing Zack Snyder's original vision.
So am I. I think that's the most important thing. I think I'm not a huge Zack Snyder fan. For a long time, I've always had some issue with his movies. I don't think I don't think he is an especially good writer. He's a good director. I will give him that. I don't think he's a great writer, but I think it's important for this movie to come out. I think studios need to stop meddling in directors' visions. And if you're willing to put in the work to create a movie, then your vision should be what is executed. So I hope this movie comes out, and I have 110% faith that it will be better received than the current Justice League that we have.
So a few things we learned about the Snyder Cut from the first half of DC Fandome was, well, they're going with the original design of Steppenwolf, who looks a hell of a lot better than the claymation looking crap we got in the first one.
Yeah, is that who we see in the trailer? Like the first creature type thing we see?
Yeah.
Okay, so the Steppenwolf looks a little bit shortier, a little bit kind of wider.
He looks, to me, he looks almost Lovecraftian. He looks more like an elder god.
Okay, I might be thinking of a different CG thing then. But either way, what I did see looks better. I'm not gonna pass too much judgment on CG just yet.
Mm-hmm.
It might not all be finished because some of it looks a little cartoony, but I don't want to pass judgment because we've seen plenty of movies whose trailers use like not complete CGI.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and we are getting a hell of a lot more movies. So it's going to be released as a miniseries on HBO Max, 4 separate hour-long episodes. Not
nice.
sure how they're going to be released. I'm assuming they would be released weekly. But maybe they'll spread them out even more than that. Who knows? But we're also getting the black suit.
Oh yeah, for Superman.
Yes. No rubbery upper lip in this version.
Oh, good.
Because all the Snyder scenes were shot before that happened.
Before he grew a mustache for another movie.
Yeah, so that was all of Joss Whedon's reshoots where they had to do that.
Right. Yes, with Henry Cavill's monster mash face.
Yeah, we are clearly getting Darkseid.
Okay.
To what
Right
extent,
on.
I don't really know, but it seems like they're playing him up to be at least a significantly bigger part than what he was in the original, which was next to nothing other than just his name, hearing his name.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think we heard his name like once, and they're like, "Oh yeah." So Darkseid, am I right? And then it went back to Snyder Whedon mismatch stuff.
Right. But the original release was exactly 2 hours. I think it was like exactly 120 minutes. And much of that was Joss Whedon's reshoots. So not only are we getting all Joss Whedon's reshoots replaced with Snyder footage, but then you figure then we're getting an additional 2 hours. So some people are saying they don't think it's going to be a different movie, and I honestly can't see how it wouldn't be.
I don't know, I think I don't know what to think, honestly. It's not going to be the same movie. The trailers make that abundantly clear. To what extent scenes we've seen are going to be in it, I don't know. And in what kind of realm will they live? Especially, scenes that were possibly or confirmed Snyder scenes that were in almost all CG backgrounds. You can then place those characters anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the whole thing is going to be a giant mystery. And I think the whole thing is at least an interesting experiment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and apparently we are going to get more Flash and more Cyborg. There's one scene that it looks like Flash is entering the Speed Force, and Zack Snyder did say that Flash is going to do some stuff in this that we've never seen him do before. And also, we saw from the trailer that the scene that was taken out with Iris West, is being added back in.
Iris West.
Barry Allen's girlfriend, eventual wife.
Oh. That's interesting. Because, and this is just a personal aside, but the way, at least in scenes that we got, Barry Allen is completely undateable. So I'd like to see how they work that.
All right. Well, before we move on to part 2 of DC Fandome and cover a little bit of the news that came out there, because there really only was a little bit that at least we found particularly interesting. But there was also a secret panel that they didn't release for the first half. They didn't release on the schedule that what the secret panel was going to be, and it turned out to be Mark Bernardin talking about some of the milestone heroes of the Dakotaverse, several black superheroes, Static Shock, Icon, to name probably the two biggest.
I was going to say, I haven't heard Static Shock in years.
Yeah, and they are talking about doing a Static Shock movie. And they're going to take these milestone heroes in general and give them a bigger role in DC as a whole. But it does sound like they're emphasizing the movie piece. Icon has a very similar power set to Superman.
Okay, yeah, I was going to say I'm not too familiar with that one.
Yeah, but I'm sure you'd be excited to see what they would do with Static on screen.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's been so long. And part of me is like, I don't even want to go back and watch the original. I just want to let it sit in its like nostalgia chamber where everything about it is amazing, and then see it come to life. So I feel like that's probably how they would do it. especially for mainstream audiences. Static Shock had a really good animated series, but overall isn't like a mainstream superhero.
Mm-hmm.
He's one of the lesser known ones.
Yeah, I know a lot of people have that watched Black Lightning have been wanting him to pop up there.
I mean, he should.
Makes sense. He, natural fits in naturally with the power set of Black Lightning and his daughters. So yeah, so DC Fandome Part 2 wasn't quite as exciting as the first part. Not nearly as much news. Um, one thing that we did get was some more news about the Flash movie. So apparently, there's going to be a lot more DC superheroes than expected showing up in this.
Gotcha.
According to the producer.
Yeah, they're going big time.
And we already know Michael Keaton and Batfleck are both appearing in it. But we also now know that what she means by this, we don't know, but she did say that this would be like a new beginning for the DC universe. And I think most people are going to assume that means some kind of in-universe reboot.
Yeah, I think this is going to be the big retcon. And the only like movie events that are going to have not been as affected are going to be the movies that people have really, really liked. It's going to be like Shazam, Wonder Woman, and to some extent Aquaman. Justice League, Batman vs. Superman, and Man of Steel are getting completely erased.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm including Aquaman in there, even though I'm not a fan. I get that people like that movie a lot.
Because it's a fun movie.
Sure.
There was some other Flash news. Dissin, you want to talk about that?
Oh yeah. Well, CW's Flash. The big news there is this upcoming season. He's getting his iconic gold boots. Confirmed at a panel at DC Fandome. Oh my God. Of all the things we could have been told, new plot developments, possible new villains, hints at things to come. No, not only is he getting his gold boots, he's earning them. He's going to the outlet mall's Vans store and buying some gold boots.
So right now in the series, he's having problems with his connection to the Speed Force. So in the trailer, they talked about building like a artificial Speed Force. So I'm willing to bet the boots have something to do with that.
Probably.
And I don't like
He's gonna
it.
have to. Yeah, I don't like that.
It's just it's not necessary. We don't need the boots.
Some things that you had mentioned this a while ago. Some things just don't translate well to live action. And I think Barry Allen being freaking bejeweled and bedazzled is one of those things that probably doesn't translate very well to live action. Regardless of whether or not it's comic accurate. What matters first is it good media, and does it look right for the medium that it's being portrayed in?
Now another a new series coming to CW that I'm very excited to see is Superman and Lois.
Yes, we talked a little bit about this. It's them moving back to
Smallville with their fraternal twin sons. Yeah.
Yeah, to raise their twin sons, And isn't it at least one of them starts developing powers? Or
They
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 both?
haven't said anything about that, but I think it's safe to assume.
Yeah, okay.
I'm sure
Um,
one starts developing them first, and then the other comes either later in the, probably in like the season finale.
in the season, yeah, when it's like the most emotional time to see powers develop from like the son who feels like his dad doesn't love him as much because his dad's so busy training his brother. You know, he's like, I always knew you were going to be dad's favorite. You're more alien than human, and I'm just a weak human. And then at the end, you know, it's some villain is.
Bless you.
Sorry, I'm allergic to cliches. Um, but yes, that's probably what's going to happen. But I think you'd mentioned that, you know, they were talking about having a little bit of a rogues gallery over the course of that show. And I
Well,
hope
I
they
don't
don't
know.
go too over.
I have no idea what they're doing as far as the villains. The only thing that I've heard is, and I think it's just a rumor, is that they'll have like an alternate universe version of Lex Luthor,
Gotcha.
because they already used the John
Uh,
Cryer version in Supergirl, and I feel like for Superman he'd be a little underwhelming.
yeah, probably. Uh, and also, I think just the premise enough, I feel like, is enough to drive at least one season. That they can spend the whole first season without really having a villain. They can have some kind of antagonistic force working against them in some capacity. But I feel like, you know, a Superman that's a little bit older and now not only has the responsibility of protecting the world and his wife, but now he has children to protect as well.
Mm-hmm.
And his children trying to learn their place in this world, being sons of Krypton, pretty much. You know, I feel like that's compelling enough to drive a show, at least for one season. That's not something you can stretch out multiple seasons.
And he's also apparently getting a new costume for this show.
Superman is getting a new costume. I cannot wait. It's blowing my butt off. You know who else is getting a new costume? Batwoman is going to get a new costume.
Well, she's also getting a new actress.
And they're going to have an in-universe reason why Batwoman is not Batwoman, and now Batwoman is Batwoman.
But one other thing that I thought was kind of exciting was they did announce season 4 of Young Justice. It's going to be called Young Justice Phantoms. So I haven't listened to the little audio teaser that they released, or I guess it's more than an audio teaser. It's like an audio episode that fills in between season 3 and 4. But from Phantoms, my first thought is that it has something to do with the Phantom Zone, or somebody getting out of the Phantom Zone.
I mean, it's called Phantoms. So maybe, or maybe there's going to be like some kind of universal disruption that like brings part of the Phantom Zone to Earth or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, something weird. Granted, I've also been watching a lot of Star Trek, so I'm just thinking like, time disruptions, temporal disruptions. So don't quote me.
So I think that's really it for any of the, at least what I found to be the most exciting news from this. I'm not missing anything, am I?
Not that I know of. Did they say if Batman was getting a new costume?
Batman?
Yeah.
And I mean, he is getting a new costume because it's a new movie. With a new
guys, Batman is going to the Bat store to buy new bat clothes to again be portrayed in a guy wearing all black and bat ears.
So yeah, so that
plus armor.
So that's it for our series on DC Fandom news. Sorry, we're a bit late with this second half, but yeah,
we were neither late nor early. We arrived precisely when we mean to.
But we are going to starting this weekend. We're going to start doing a weekly video, just recapping the weekly news. Still, I have an idea for the name, but I'm going to talk it out a bit before we settle on something. But stay tuned for the first episode of that unnamed show. But
and don't forget to stay nerdy.